This is your tech news briefing for Thursday, December 1st. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. In a bankruptcy filing, the new CEO of FTX, John J. Ray, says the crypto exchange displayed a, quote, complete failure of corporate controls, and said there was a complete absence of trustworthy financial information. But former employees say that laissez-faire attitude toward risk and compliance extended back into founder Sam Bankman-Fried's history. Former staff at his trading firm Alameda Research say years earlier they quit, in part because of the way Bankman-Fried handled risk and accounting issues. So what can that history teach us about what went down at FTX? Joining us to discuss this is special writer for the Wall Street Journal, Gregory Zuckerman. Hi, Greg. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
A lot of people have heard of FTX since the crisis with it began, and now a lot of people have heard of Alameda Research because of that. But can you take us through the creation of Alameda? How did it get started?
Of course. So Sam Bankman-Fried, the man who's at the helm of this crypto exchange that's collapsed, called FTX, after MIT, after working at a firm called Jane Street, a trading firm, he left to start something called Alameda Research. This was going to be a firm that would focus on cryptocurrencies and trade them, a quasi-hedge fund type of firm. And this was, we're talking 2017, about 2 years before he started FTX. So the first business he started was Alameda Research.
Now, some former employees of Alameda Research are saying they quit in part over Bankman-Fried's risk tolerance. What kind of risks are they describing in their accounts? What sort of criticism are they putting out there?
Yes, what happened was early on, we're talking the fall of 2017, a rift developed in this new young trading firm. A senior employees, senior staffers, senior traders started to get nervous at what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing, or rather what he wasn't doing. What he wasn't doing was embracing, accepting just sort of conventional, proper, standard risk controls, accounting measures, compliance, the kind of stuff that most everybody else in the trading world is fine with. Measurements of who's doing what with the money, where the money is going, how much they're making, what's being allocated. They had money for their firm, buying desks, buying computers, that kind of thing. And they had money to trade, and it was being commingled, mixed together, and it all worried people at the firm. And they said to Sam, hey, we can't trade like this. We need better measurements, accounting, and otherwise to kind of judge where the money's going. And he resisted their efforts to incorporate and embrace some of these risk accounting and other measures.
Why is that such a big deal?
Frankly, the early employees point to the recent problems and say, well, geez, what we were worried about, that was a foreshadowing of the problems that were ahead. And in some ways, it says to us from the outside that, wow, these problems could have been avoided had Sam Bankman-Fried embraced the suggestions of his colleagues.
How do we know all this information?
So we spoke to a number of people close to the matter, so a series of interviews, and there were documents. There were contemporaneous documents written by Sam Bankman-Fried in 2018 to explain the rift, to explain the split, why so many senior people left his firm.
Has Sam Bankman-Fried responded to any of these criticisms?
So what Sam Bankman-Fried has said is that, yes, early on at the firm, there was a rift, there was a fight, there was pushback. His colleagues were upset at him for these very reasons, the fact that he resisted the accounting and other controls, compliance, etc. But what he said is that subsequently, he did make some changes in terms of being a better boss, listening to his employees, having more transparency. So I think he would argue that, well, some of the recommendations that they pushed for, yes, I resisted them initially, but later I embraced them.
You mentioned that they raised these concerns with Bankman-Fried, but did they raise them with anyone else?
Yeah, Zoe, so they did raise these concerns and share them with others, in particular with some of the early investors in the firm. And they said to some of the early investors, hey, this firm, Alameda Research and Sam Bankman-Fried, are not trading properly and they're not initiating their firm in a proper way. And that was kind of it. It's important to keep in mind that we're talking a period, again, the fall of 2017 through the spring of 2018, when this firm, Alameda Research, was relatively small, did not have any individual investors. It's not clear they would have been able to get anyone's attention.
One of the big issues in this crypto bankruptcy is how customers' funds from FTX were used for investments by Alameda Research. On Wednesday, Bankman-Fried was speaking at the DealBook Summit, and he said he didn't knowingly commingle the funds and said it was a failure of oversight on his part. But I wonder if knowing more about what went on in the early years of Alameda Research will help with understanding the fall of FTX. Will it help customers regain some of their money or at least, know what happened?
Well, it's a good question. I think it sheds light on the firm, his management style, his approach to risk, his approach to accounting. I think it could undercut an argument, perhaps from Bankman-Fried and others. They may come and argue, well, we didn't know any better. We just started this firm and we messed up and we're really sorry, but we were just, young guys cut us some slack. And what I think our article kind of shows is there were early warnings and there were concerns issued by colleagues of Sam Bankman-Fried.
All right, that's special writer for the Wall Street Journal, Gregory Zuckerman. Thanks so much for joining us, Greg.
Thank you, Zoe. Have a good one.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you're looking for more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.